Another year is almost over, which means it's time for another YouTube rewind. And I don't know about you, but I was kind of dreading this one. After last year, I was just kind of dreading that this was going to be a thing. I was really hoping it wasn't going to come out. I was hoping they weren't going to do it. I was thinking to myself, there's no way. There's no way they're going to pull it off. There's no way they're going to come out and they're going to do something like the last couple of years, at least last year, when you've got the highest, sorry, not the highest, the most disliked video of all time. It made worldwide news. You know, all the outlets were talking about it. Did you hear? The YouTube Rewind 2018 is sitting at 16 million dislikes. My God, it's terrible. Oh my God. And they did that because, for one, it was a coordinated effort to attempt to make this video the most disliked video of all time. People just stopped caring after a while. And they just, about the content, and they went in just for the spectacle. And that is what happens quite often on YouTube, to be fair. There's always kind of a bandwagon, and people tend to jump on it regardless of what it is, or what the ramifications or the repercussions might be. When you look at something like the YouTube Rewind in 2018, hitting those 16 million dislikes, it actually prompted a very interesting, albeit short-lived conversation about YouTube disabling the dislike button entirely. Now, they've only mentioned it one time, and it's gone nowhere since then. I asked about it when I met with YouTube back at VidCon. They had no further information on it. At that point, I pretty much just assumed it was dead, which makes a lot of sense. They don't want to take that away because of what the implications could be. They don't want to sit there and take it away because they've got the most disliked video of all time. It would have to be about something else entirely, but the optics on it would be too terrible. I still think it's in the cards down the road. It just seems to make sense. Once they bring up something like that, it's going to probably happen, but they just have to wait until after, they're not, they either another video gets 16 million dislikes or something else happens that's so horrendous, so horrific, so terrible that they feel like there is just no other need for it. And I think in essence, the James Charles situation, which surprisingly made an appearance in this particular video, it would be something that would have been more of a factor on that front. But anyway, when I watched this year, I was surprised at a couple factors. One, they acknowledged last year. They said, you clearly didn't like it. And so we wanted to do a video based around what you actually did like, which was just the most. They went back to, some people called it the Social Blade Rewind 2019, which is somewhat accurate in my opinion. But they also went back to, they looked at the analytics, which videos did real well, which creators had the most views, and then looking at different genres. Like the beauty genre is huge. It's absolutely insanely huge. How many people watch that stuff? I mean, again, going back to the James Charles thing, when Toddy Westbrook lied about him and called him out, he lost 3 million subscribers. She gained 3 million subscribers. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of people in that community, and there's a reason why they brought it up. There was a very little ASMR. I think there was one ASMR clip they showed, whereas last year they played up ASMR a little bit more, which makes me wonder if the analytics on that were down in 2019. Maybe because they're trying to cut back on sexualized content, and a lot of ASMR comes across as extremely sexual in some aspects, right? I'm just saying. You've got, I think again, it was so fast. It was like Watch Mojo episode, but with no commentary. And as weird as it is, and as much as it did still suck, it wasn't as bad as last year, right? There was no forced dialogue with the creators, no Will Smith coming out and saying like, I want to do a Fortnite thing, no Ninja driving the bus, none of that kind of stuff that was really kind of lame. It was just focusing on the data, focusing on what people watched, focusing on the most popular creators. And, I think that was in essence the only thing they could have done. Like there was really nothing else that they could have done outside of just not doing it. And I know, like I even didn't want them to do it, but they still are going to do it. But they just tried something a bit different this year. The biggest problem with it is you can either be really good, or I should say you either want to be considered really good or really bad. But when you're in the middle, when you're mediocre, you don't want to be mediocre. Be either good or bad, but never in the middle. In the middle, in regards to this kind of thing, and I know this seems odd coming from me, who seems more of a middle of the road kind of guy, but in regards to this type of content, right? People still talk about YouTube Rewind 2018 as being bad, and no one has ever looked at YouTube Rewind at all as being good. But this year, it was under 10 minutes. It was 5 minutes and 36 seconds, and it was just mediocre. It's forgettable. Nothing about it stands out. Nothing about it makes you sit there and go, "Wow, that was either memorable on any front, or it was good on any front, or even horrible on any front." Right now on Twitter, Etika is trending because people are upset that Etika wasn't mentioned in there. Well, last year, Total Biscuit died, and they didn't mention Total Biscuit either. So it's like they don't really do an in memoriam. This isn't the Oscars, which is unfortunate. I think that they should. Last year, they tried making a play while discussing mental health issues on YouTube, but this year they didn't. And again, I think that's probably fine, just because they weren't trying to get political, or they weren't trying to get socio-political. They were just looking at the metrics, looking at the data. So there was literally no other. There's literally no reasoning why this would even be considered good. Like there's no way this was going to be good. They had to go for mediocre. It was always meant to be mediocre, because mediocre to them in this regard is safe. It's a safe bet. It's not going to make headlines. Not past today. Maybe you're going to get people that are going to come out and say stuff like, "Oh, it's not as good," or "It's better than last year," or "It's still terrible, but not as terrible as last year." There's no Jake Paul in there. We're all good. PewDiePie's wedding popped up. PewDiePie was the most viewed creator. Someone got mad saying that there was no teen trees, even though they did show Mr. Beast, and it did have a clip of him saying, "Let's plant some trees." So while maybe not a direct reference, it still was there. So they did look to see what I think a big thing was for the year. And Mr. Beast, I think this is probably his biggest year. Same with PewDiePie. I would argue my probably one big complaint, and I get, and it's kind of just a nitpick, is that T-Series was looked at in a positive as the first Indian channel to hit 100 million subscribers, or the first channel to hit 100 million subscribers. And I get it. India is a huge market. All right, you're talking over 1 billion people live in India. It would make sense that they would be able to direct it all to one area really. And but a lot of people, myself included, would prefer that to go to PewDiePie. I'm not going to sit there and like cut down T-Series channel size. But as a creator who would rather see other creators grow rather than like a corporation, it should have been Pewds. And at the end of the day, it was, right? At the end of the day, he was the most viewed creator. They showed him with this $100 million plaque or 100 million sub plaque that they sent him. And so they made sure to play on that, because they know that last year they caught a lot of crap for not featuring PewDiePie at all. So they did make up for that in that front. But like I said, there was no expectation that this was ever going to be seen as good. This was always going to be middle of the road. It was always going to be safe. It was going to be brand safe, and it was going to be something that they can put out there to show to their investors and show to their people and say, this is the metrics, and you're not going to have any controversy off of this. You're not going to have 15, 16 million dislikes. You're not going to have any of that. Right now, it's sitting at about 348,000 dislikes to 224,000 likes by the time I recorded this. So there are people that are disliking it, and it will probably have more dislikes than likes overall. However, it's not going to hit that many because there's not a lot there to really keep you coming back to hate. Now, the question then becomes, will we see another coordinated effort to make it the absolute, most disliked video on YouTube? Will that happen once again? And I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think there's a reason to. There's nothing there that you can really go and hate on. Not as much as last year, which just felt forced and faked and everything else. Never mind the controversies that came out in regards to paying the animators. I don't think they paid them at all. But this time around, it was literally just like, here's some analytics, here's some data. Let's cut together this video collage that Watch Mojo does 18 times a day, and we're going to call it a year. Middle of the road. You're going to forget about it by the end of today. You know what I mean? It's just amnesia is already setting in regards to YouTube Rewind 2019. And that's exactly what they wanted. Anyway, your thoughts, your opinions, let me know down in the comments below. I'm very curious to know what you guys have to say about this. And also just your general thoughts on it. And also, what do you think? What could they do to make it better? What could they possibly do to make it better? Is there anything that could be done to make it better at all? What would you want, I guess, at this point? Me personally, I would just rather it go away. I don't think it needs to happen. I think other channels do top 10s of the year a lot better than YouTube. And I think YouTube would be, or if they are going to continue it, don't go to a third party outside production company. Talk to your creators who do this kind of stuff and would be able to put together something that would be considered worthy of the YouTube community. And considering that YouTube itself is kind of running at an identity crisis right now in regards to serving corporate masters or corporate channels versus the creator community, which is what made them popular in the first place, they would be better served to go back and work with those people that aren't all just like 10 million plus sub channels, but like the salt of the earth creators that put in the work every single day, that don't get anywhere near the recognition that many of them deserve. That's what I'd like to see. But anyway, I leave it to you, your thoughts, your opinions. Have yourself a great day and peace out.